All right then, hello, good morning, good afternoon to all of you mayoral types out there. My name is Josh, and welcome to another episode of Dead Man Streaming. All right, everybody, so a quick recap because I don't know when you saw this video last. The last thing that we did was we established the Switchon factory, which is a primarily an electronics producing factory that we will hope is going to be able to supply enough goods to some of our office complexes so that they can start turning a profit, so that they can start leveling up, and so that they can start paying us a lot more money than what they are right now, all of which are good things. In addition to that, we also set up some little bit of extra development behind and beside the rail station, including the Principalis building to increase office efficiency and university education, as well as little help for the crime rate in the immediate area and a bonus to the well being. Then, on top of that, because in a lot of cases, when you see a new factory pop up, you get factory related housing, or at least that's something that I noticed in my area. The rare times we get a new factory developed, we get new housing. So we've gone ahead and started to fill in the small, very suburban area of Cooper Bluff. Now, we haven't zoned in all of these squares yet. Uh, I'm I'd like to do a little landscaping here when available, and we haven't touched anything on this side. This side demands to have something special in it, just the way the topography is made. I'm really not sure what's going to go here for right now, so in times of trouble, go with what you know. And since I don't know anything, I'm not going to do anything. Moving on from that, though, the focus of today's episode is going to be establishing something very important for us, but it's going to take a lot of money. So we're going to have a little time to play around a little bit because what I want to put down is going to be where is it? Where are you? The Technical University, which is going to cost us a lot of money, but it's going to give us a major boost to industrial efficiency and our office efficiency across the entire city. It's the kind of thing that a city gets built around, in all honesty. And I think where we're going to end up putting it, not only is that going to be Mill 6, um, because it's such a sprawling campus and takes up so much space. Plus, we're going to want to build some major parks and some plazas around it. I almost feel like it's going to have to go these four tiles in and of itself, which means that we're looking at purchasing up this much, and that's going to be 1,013. It's entirely possible what I'll do is just cave and get a loan. Um, but as it stands right now, we are making 155 an hour, which is going to help us get there fairly quickly. All right. So while we wait and see what happens, let's take a look at our happiness as we generate some cash. And we're good with mail service somehow. That never happens. Everybody's getting wealthy. Very good. Everybody is within walking distance to an elementary school. Always a plus. Abundance of entertainment, which is going to be good for a lot of different reasons. Leisure time, reliable internet service, service upgrades. High noise pollution is something you'll run into in almost every city you build. I'm not overly worried about it. It can make your citizens a little sicker, but they'll live. Unreliable healthcare coverage is a problem. I can't lie to you about that. Um, just taking a quick look, we have healthcare coverage for everything except for right up here in this area. We only have a minimal amount of housing up here, but we still want to make sure that when they call for an ambulance, they get it without having to wait for an extended period. Plus, this is where a university is, so it makes sense that they would have some form of small little medical clinic up here. Let's just look for something super tiny. We don't need a hospital. We do need a hospital, but we don't need a hospital here. That's what I was trying to imply by that. Um, we had a smaller hospital or clinic than these. All right, well, just the French Medical Center, and because this is a reasonably trafficked area with a college university and stuff, We'll go ahead and we'll just slip it up over here. A little bit past that intersection where nothing's really at. See if that makes a difference in healthcare. It will be a small ding to our monthly income, but we're quickly approaching the point where money doesn't matter, um, which is good for us because a lot of the things that I want to build are going to be really exceedingly expensive. Okay. Um, I'm still not overly happy with how little development there is over here next to the rail station. It's not someplace where a lot of housing would go right through here. This is more businesses. This is more, um, commercial district kind of stuff. So let's take a moment. We've got some pedestrian walkways back through here. Let's see what happens if we can sort of, you know, push in here as just some walkable, low density, promenade style buildings, up against the back end of Principalis. Then we'll do a couple of high density because they're right next to that rail track. Um, Actually, what I'll also do is replace one of those high density. No, maybe not. It's like all that jumped onto the development circle really fast. Down here, right off of Copper Street, we'll slip in an office complex or two. And then over here, though, we'll go ahead, slip in a couple of more high density and then low density offices as we approach the work area over here. Okay. And just in that little period of time, we've already gained almost 400,000. So that's a plus. Okay. And our profit margin's even going up, so that's even better. Okay. We have really significant residential demand. So let me go ahead and take a look over here. We were using, this is one thing I hate. My eyesight is not the greatest, even with my glasses on, and I can't always tell what building type is where. So I know it's not Mediterranean. I'm pretty sure we used North American low density residential, but we'll go ahead and mix it in with a little bit of, let's see, where's my Northeast pack? A little bit of extra Northeast mid density. And then we'll also slip in some low density commercial through here. And then just to wrap it up, over here on this side towards the river, I want to be careful because I don't want to deform the river. I think the way this river is built is really pretty, and I don't want to do anything that's going to mess it up. So we're just going to put some mixed use commercial residential all the way down this riverside. And I think that's going to do pretty well for here. Okay, so that's all good. It's pitch black, can't see what's going on. Um, what time is it? Game time? 4:08, so it'll be lightening up shortly. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the story for this lovely Imini Bay here and how things are going to be developing. With the Switchon factory coming into the area, the mayor really understands that a higher education level is going to be beneficial to the city as a whole, and it's going to be the stepping stone that is going to be required to bring in the skyscrapers and the larger, more advanced, urban area that he's seen ever since he was granted control over this particular county. And with the inclusion of a technical college and the ability to have a small college town erupt around it, it'll make sense that we can start seeing apartment complexes pop up over here and some interest coming into the highway over here. It's also going to require a train station coming through. And all of this not only will benefit the Switchon factory, it's going to make the area more appealing for a lot of higher end offices. Stuff that's not going to be interested in coming in until that kind of infrastructure is laid out. So, knowing that we're going to need additional rail, and our rail line does sort of scoot out that way. We also have, is that rail? No, that's another highway intersection. And this is something for future concern. The rail only goes out here. There isn't anywhere else on the map any additional rail service. And that's part of why I set up this interchange. So we made sure we had at least one rail line that was going to follow the bridge across. But one rail line is not really going to be enough. So when we do this expansion, we're going to have to be mindful of the room that it's going to take to branch off rail with a, trumpet style, whatever, interchange right through here. It doesn't need to go off to this edge of the map. We've already have one over here doing that, don't we? No, well, we will have one coming off over here up into the hills later. Um, so I'm not so worried about going off in this direction, although 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. It might be slightly closer, but not enough that I'm going to worry about. By the time I do this, we're going to have more money than we know what to do with, anyways. All right. So, this technical university, I would really like it to go. Let's take another closer look really quick because pre planning never hurt anybody. So, at this thing takes a minimum of 1 square, but realistically, we're going to be taking up 2. It does need to come directly off of the highway since all of our students coming in from Elizabeth Meadows and our other little mini districts that'll be popping up around here are going to want access to it. So I am thinking, and I don't know why, but I really like the idea of having this thing overlooking the river, overlooking the bay in some fashion. Um, as people come into the city from what's eventually going to be a harbor district set up here, they can, directly see the technical university in all of its lovely glory. So I am thinking, hmm. So it meets all of our criteria. Relatively easy access to rail, relatively easy access to highway. I'm thinking right about here with a junction here and the rail lines splitting down. So knowing that, the very minimum, 1, 2, 3, right across there. Let's start with that. Then moving on from there, still looking, still considering my options. All right. If I want to have a highway interchange, that's going to require that. And if I want to build in a rail interchange right over here, that's going to require that. So a little bit less than I first thought. But not really, because this road's going to have to come up and around, and we're going to have to play around. So 1.3. All right, we'll go ahead. We'll make that investment. That doesn't set us back too far. We're actually still gaining profit as Switchon and the other offices sort of mesh and work together, and we get people moving in over here to Cooper Bluff. Okay, so I almost want to buy the university and then build around it. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do, which means we will be taking out a loan but this will make it so much easier to plot and plan. And it's not going to be a big loan for us. It's only going to be $1 million. And it's not really going to impact us too terribly much. So let's get that technical university. Let's make sure that we see which direction the road is going. Let's push it up here, up against the river, up against this bank. Let's run a walking path across this bank really quick. Do we have any gridability? Kinda. So we can run that 8-lane kind of straight. Then right about here, we're going to want to take a curve. To bring it in line with the highway. Now, what's going to be fun later is that we're going to not only have to bridge, but we're going to have to bridge under the highway system, I think, just to cross over. So we may end up actually rebuilding this segment of highway here. I'm not sure yet, but that's a future us problem. Okay, so we've got our 8-lane road right there. That gives me some concept of a plan, I think. Now I'm going to do something that's going to be exceedingly difficult. Of course, by the time I get this built, we may have actually earned enough to just build a technical college anyways. There are a lot of different ways that you can do quays and stuff in City Skylines too. Most of them are difficult, all of them are time consuming. And this game made them unnecessarily complex. Oops, wrong way. Wrong button. And it's something that I really hope gets addressed in the Bridges and Piers expansion. So you watch, I'm going to do this, and then they're going to announce Bridges and Piers the next day. As it stands right now, you are listening to me on a stream I recorded initially on April the 22nd. When is it going to be uploaded? Probably in May. That's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm looking at sort of schedule-wise. Why are you making this difficult on me? I know it's in water. It's supposed to be in water. It's a walkway. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to save. And then we're going to go to our landscaping tool. We're going to shrink our brush size down to next to bloody nothing. All right, we're going to pick a low point in the water. I'm right clicking. Kick our brush strength down tremendously. And the plan, well, the water is adjusting automatically. That's not great. Normally when you do this kind of thing, the water doesn't flow in automatically unless they've changed it without my knowing. First two segments worked, that segment did not. Back to landscaping tools. This time we're going to use soften terrain. See if that'll make a difference without completely. Okay, so moving on from here, what I want to do. Sorry if you overheard that. Doctor put me on blood pressure medication. All right. Um, it's not perfect because I really. That is so close to the riverside. It needs to be part of. I don't know what it's trying to snap to right here. Because right here, the goal is to get a nice little retaining wall on one side that we'll see the concrete, and then with a fence around the river edge. That's going to do for right now. So that there's a nice walkable path of sorts. Okay. And then we'll come down and tidy up the rest of that later. Unless, do we need to do it right now? Kind of, we do. I hate to say it. And so I'm going to tidy this up so that the concrete actually sinks into the water right through there. Okay. I'm going to try to push this up a little bit to get this last node sunk in. Oh, now it worked the way it's supposed to. Okay, perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right. Then we'll unpause. Now, despite what the game wants to do, I actually don't want the roadside for the Technical University to press up against that. I want that to be the back end. Because while there are upgrades to the Technical University, they're all on the university's footprint. And we don't want to change that. Now, unfortunately, that road isn't straight 90. And my mouse use is absolutely not the best. this close enough. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to work? I think so. Let's go ahead and go over here to landscaping, and we're going to see if we can't turn off snapping. Yeah, and despite there being this walkway, it's not letting me connect to it. Well, that's moderately frustrating. Okay. Well, if we can't, we can't. Makes no sense that we can't, but if we can't, we can't. All right. Well, let's address this fact that we have no road leading this university, which means no anything for us. All right, down here, I'm actually going to go ahead and use a 6 lane. The 6 lane is kind of overkill right here, but I do want to develop this area pretty heavily, and I want traffic, residential traffic, commercial traffic, well, residential traffic, anyways, to have a direct line right down through here without argument. Okay. And that effectively takes care of that. So we can give this thing an extension wing. We can also give it a workshop. We'll take the workshop for right now because it'll increase students' chance of graduating, and that's what we want. We want them to come here. We want them to graduate. We want them to go back into their offices and do everything. So the education system in this game is severely unbalanced. Um, we are still in a elementary school crisis. We're getting ready for a high school crisis. Our lone college can pack 5,000 students. Universities can pack significantly more than that. This one's packing in 15,000, which is good. And some of this is sort of realistic, but you're going to see the rate of education drop off be kind of terrible. Um, and it's just the way that the game currently runs. I don't feel it's appropriate. From what I've heard, the devs are happy with it, but I am not a game dev, and while I appreciate their work, I don't have to agree with them all the time. All right. So let's. Yes, it's in water. It's a bridge. And now I just sort of want to finish this just a hair. Trust that down to 1.5. Oops. Make sure it's straight on this one. In fact, not only am I not going to worry about that not being a key wall right there, I'm going to encourage it. We can put a park or something right there later. Go ahead and straighten it out then. Whoops. Okay, we'll extend that pedestrian path down through there. All right, this is awesome. This will help us out a lot in the coming days. And despite buying all this extra stuff, we're making even more money. So this is That's a good indicator that we're doing the right thing. Okay, so far, so good. Let's save again. Let's resume game. Then we are going to take a quick look over here at this highway and railway connection. Um, this area, while needing some love, is not going to need anything as fancy as a cloverleaf. Um, I almost hate to use another roundabout right here, but I kind of feel like it might be the best in the long run. So let's just pause again because I don't want to completely befoul our highway system as I'm working on this. I know, pausing the game, the height of realism. But it's going to take me longer to do a bypass than it is going to, actually build the thing. So now right here is actually, well, I deleted in the wrong direction. I think right here is going to be perfect for our highway connection. Downside, we may now have to buy an extra couple of tiles just to fit this in. But I think it's perfect because it'll give us, yeah, right into that 8 and 6 lane right there. And I could not ask for anything better. Just a straight drop right into it. Downside, guess what doesn't mesh anymore? Okay, well, let's start with this 2 lane over here. Go parallel, connect, just like that. Maybe, yeah, let's expand that out of 2. All right, we're gonna need our continuous curves. Doesn't really mesh up well, but this is because this is going from 3 down to immediately down to 2. Until we buy this tile and we can upgrade it, it's not going to be worth the headache. Right here, though, this is terrible. So I think what I'm just going to do is make anybody driving this road hate me, and we'll connect it with that little wavy curve right there. Okay. Super quick, super easy. Now, the next thing to consider is going to have to be a rail connection. And I haven't liked it so well right here, just because of this wonky turn, but we had to do that because it wouldn't let me bulldoze it. Well, I don't really need to buy these 2 tiles. I think for the sake of my sanity, I am going to. Oh, well, do I have to? Mm, yeah, I kind of do. All right, let's pause again. Oh, I didn't bring that up out of the ground. Need to. Okay, still has a kink to it, but we don't kink shame here. All right, that corner. Always gotta be one. Always has gotta be one. You know what? We don't kink shame, but sometimes we kink ask why. Okay. There's no harm to that right there. We'll delete it when we buy that tile eventually. All right. Back out of pause. And I think, are you kidding me? I think by eventually I may mean now. All right. So, oh, oops. That road was important. My bad. Okay, yeah. And just checking the university is getting water and everything. Okay. Okay, so this is what right through here? 6? Okay. So I'm putting in a rail crossing right there. I don't like it. I hate it tremendously. I hate driving over rail crossings in real life. I live next to train tracks, as I've said before. Like, I don't mind running this parallel to the tracks. Okay. And like I said, I do hate this tremendously, so we're gonna have to fix that. This, however, looks like the trains are. Huh, the trains seem to think that's a faster route. What's the cargo? One coming in is fine. One going out is fine. Well, when we buy this tile, we'll likely be deleting this, so I can probably live with this for right now. For over here, though, no. Nope, I ain't doing it. So, once again, pausing as we fix another rail snafu. Now, I think on this one, I'm going to leave the rail down and do the road up. We know that takes a 7.5 in almost every circumstance. I guess I didn't really need to pause for this. I thought that was going to be more complicated than what it was. Okay, let's finish. Bring that at 180 until that lines up. And we can bring that, and we're good. And even better, that gave us a concrete path right there. Perfect. So I don't have to look at it funny and be like, dude, why? Okay. Then over here, we'll take a moment. We will upgrade this to that one particular node right there. We'll go ahead and upgrade it to 6-lane. Coming off the highway. Bring it down, and for expediency's sake, roundabout, come over, delete those pedestrian crossings, check to make sure there's not a stoplight there. There is. Turn it to a stop sign. Then go to highways. The same thing we've done every time so far with these roundabouts. However, honestly, because that's 4, 2, 2, and well, let's see. 3 coming in, 3 going out. No, 6 lanes fine. Okay, we're good. Okay. Do we need to adjust here any kinda? Yeah, for the same rules. So let's pause because we do have some traffic through here. Let's try it building. It's gonna be cranky with us if I try building it that way. All right, well, let's build it this way. Okay, put a roundabout in. We'll take our two-lane, two-way highway. Make sure we turn off parallel from our earlier work. Let that come down nice and easy. Hmm. Take off snapping. Might be a little chaotic there. Doesn't blend in as well as it does right there, but I think we'll be okay. We'll be okay-er once we get rid of those unnecessary crosswalks. I'll go ahead and just tell that to be a stop sign just to be on the safe side for right now. All right, so far, so excellent. Now, go to rail, passenger. Okay, so we do have an exiting passenger line going this direction. And we do need to install that trumpet. Do we need? Yeah, we do need to install a trumpet. Where do we need to install the trumpet is going to be the question. I feel like the trumpet really is going to have to go right up here if we can. So the best way we can do any of that first, let's take a look at our available train stations. Bringing in people through here. We used the Mediterranean station, which is this one over here, but it does not have a, it is not a through and through. The French train station is always very pretty. It is a simple through and through, but I think since this is coming into the more urban area, because we're going to be branching into big city stuff over here, that we need something a little bit more modern. I don't like the look of the regular train station composed of some of the others. Now, the central train station is flippin' huge. And while it would be great right here, I feel like since we're going to have additional lines going off into, um, we'll have a line going here, we'll have a line going here, we'll have, in theory, maybe a line over here and then a line coming down through here. We need to have the central train station and its multitude of line madness buried somewhere over here coming off of this highway area. And over here. Which is still going to be enough blocks away to justify putting a train station right there. So that's kind of out. Now, a historic central train station is also the kind of thing that you would see a city sort of get built around, I feel, myself. The Eastern European is really pretty. Local train isn't. See, the local train is very simple. Um, and actually, I think that may be exactly what we need here. But as always, it's going to require a roadway connection. And then we're going to want to make sure that people can cross from the train station across the highway without having to walk over the highway. So that's going to be a consideration we're going to have to keep in mind as well. So what I'm seeing is not only we're going to have a train station here, but it's going to have to be in a way that train traffic can hit it from two directions and we'll still have room to install our trumpet and everything else. So, I mean, like, this is not going to be the easiest thing to place um, without buying additional tiles. But again, we're making money hand over fist right now. We're making almost 200,000 an hour, so I think we'll be good. So I honestly think that local is going to be enough for us. Small train is pretty cute, but I think the local will sell it. The only thing that we could really do to make the local positioning better is if we aimed for it down here so that people could literally just walk to the Switchon factory or walk to the university. But where our rail network is right now, I don't see that that's overly viable unless we just simply say, you know, screw it all, I guess, and then put it down here, run this line down around beside the technical university across the bay, and all of that. Just it doesn't feel overly reasonable, overly viable to me. At best, we can stick it down here. At very, very best. That would keep us from having to cross the highway, though. So maybe at best down here on the other side of the highway is going to be the best option. So let's go. I'm sure I'm going to regret this. We're going to have to do some highway mods. I honestly, oh, that soap is terrible. This may end up being a little further from the university than I would really like it to be. Okay, that comes down at a 3% grade. I can live with that. Hopefully they can live with that. Okay, gonna pause, gonna delete that bridge span right there. It's a little lumpier than I'd like anyways, now that I'm seeing it up close and in person. Drag. Drop, readjust. We'll wait for that train to finish going through, then we'll delete it. Delete that lane on the right side. Hmm. What's this thing's problem with this? Well, it worked fine for 30 seconds. That's lovely. All right, 7.5. Lined it up with that. Cross that, please. Give me that concrete ramp slash barrier. Delete that entrance. Fine. Delete that because of that curve right there. Then come back. Okay, we'll just use an A frame right there, A intersection. Okay, unpause. Let's look for a train station. We wanted to go with the local. I want this to line up as much as possible with this at 90 degrees. So I'm going to do this to eyeball it. It's not going to be perfect, and we'll delete this road in a second. But this is a self eyeball. Here, I'm going to settle for a 4-lane. And here's a road type that we haven't used at all in this build. We really should have been. And this is going to be the 4-lane angled parking road. We've got a bunch of those. They do add some extra parking, but parking in this game is really... I don't know. Game behavior around parking gets really weird. Okay, is that perfectly straight? No. Can we live with it? Yeah, I think so. Okay. So while I'm dragging this out right here, we're not going to have it all come out right there. Go ahead and drop this down. 90 will extend this 4-lane angle parking to somewhere right around there. And I'll bring this 4-lane, well, I'm gonna go ahead and bring that as a 6-lane road, I guess. Since it's connecting to an 8-lane and all that fun stuff. All right. We're not going to cross the river with that, but we're going to take that for what it is. Okay, let's take a look at our upgrade options. Subway interface, not necessary for right now, if at all. This will encourage people to use the train stations. Also going to make it look a little prettier. Same thing with that. Extra platforms, kind of want, kind of don't. Let's take a quick look at. We have two platforms. We have one coming in, one coming out. I think that's just going to be okay as it is. What's not okay is that little bump right there. So let's try to fix it. Make that curve look a little bit better. Okay. All right, so we connected it there. We still got to connect it down here. So where's going to be our ideal connection place? Well, we could run an additional line right down through here. Or what? Might be the easiest. Uh, Bad words. Okay, so that actually created a bridge there, and not a bridge, that created a little wall there. And while that might not cause a problem, it might cause a problem. I really don't want to risk it. I know those tiny little bubbles don't really mean anything, but to me, they're enough to drive me mad. We didn't drop that back to the ground. Okay, then finally, go over here to our passenger rail tool. We're going to save the game before I mess with anything. I don't see any reason to add a new line. So what I'm going to do though is click the old line, both incoming and outgoing. drag a waypoint right there. We'll keep this active for our cargo. Now, it means that this, where this splits over here, is actually not doing anything. Um, let's go ahead and delete it. It's, if it's not necessary, it's not worth losing the real estate. Okay. All right, guys. So this video has gone on now for just about an hour, a little bit more than an hour. So we're actually effectively done um, with everything that I had planned to do today. We bought up all these extra tiles. We've made a lot of room for development. We've got a lot of positive income coming in. We took out a loan and then we repaid it, and then we repaid it. Then we did get our new train station installed and made some plans to run a more complicated rail interchange up through here. We got a highway extension. Don't like this. This is going to require the basically all this highway to be redone in the future. That's fine. Is what it is. Okay, but you know my rule. If we put a train station, if we put a transport hub anywhere, we have to make sure that we are giving people a reason to go there. And yeah, they've got a reason. They can come to Switchon. They can come to the technical university. It should be a thing of value for our area. However, if you stop at a train station, if you stop at a bus terminal, if you stop, I don't really care where, you're going to be going like, hey, I want to do more than go in and, PE. Maybe you've got a layover at the train station. Maybe your next thing is another 3 or 4 hours. So let's take a quick look at our signature buildings. We're not going to go to residential or mixed. We're going to go over here to commercial. Um, it's a gas station, another gas station, a diner. Diner would be nice. That's an option. Capacitor building would be pretty cool because this is sort of like a major electronic shop, being with electronics right over here and technical university over here. Um, so that's an option. Kind of think that if I was doing that, it would go right over here though. So that's a thing to keep in mind. In fact, it's such a thing to keep in mind that I know if I don't place it down now, I am going to forget it. So we're just going to make a few more tweaks before I call it a day. While I make these tweaks, of course, I do want to thank you all very, very much for spending your time with me. So you have spent the last hour of your life listening to me talk about a game where you're building a city, which is not necessarily always the most entertaining thing, but I hope, without any doubt whatsoever, that I have given you some joy, entertainment, or ideally some relaxation, or hopefully some ideas if you are a City Skyline 2 player. So we'll put in that road back there to again give us sort of a, key wall to walk on. Then we'll do the same thing over here, making sure that we have snapping off so our road faces the right direction. I think where the words Pine Street are is just about medium. Let me count squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, that is perfect. Please don't let me move the mouse. Hitting the button. Hit the button. Okay, cool. Like I'm over here hovering, one hand not touching the mouse, the other hand just like directly, specifically touching everything. Okay. I also would feel like this would be where a large road would come through. We're starting the neighborhood plan around Switchon, or not Switchon, but the capacitor building right here. And I see a couple places where all this would work. And if I play my cards right, that'll be a busy intersection. So let's slip in another roundabout on it right now. Pull down a 4-lane road over here. I'm going to want to have this come sort of make a semi-gentle turn. Okay, how can I get that to cross that to cross that little mini river right there? Why will you not cross the river right there? Seriously, why will you not cross the river right there? How deep is it? What in the... Okay, we'll do the smooth terrain tool right through here. That was weird. That was so weird. Nice. We've established a very nice thoroughfare all the way down through here that goes directly to the capacitor building, that goes directly over here to the college and right past Switchon. We'll go ahead and finish connecting up Switchon. There, done. Then I don't like the looks of this 4-lane right here because it's throwing everything off center. We'll change it to a 6. We'll go ahead and upgrade all this to a 6 as well. Coming into that 4-lane, perfect, perfect, perfect. Then right over here in front of this train station, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Grand City Plaza. We're going to turn snapping back on. We're going to line it up right with that. Perfect. Done. Cross the street right there. Now, we've already got 1, 2, 3 pedestrian crossings. I think that's fine. It is going to slow down road traffic through here, but since this is off to the side and not directly on this, that should be 100% okay. Then, since we've already got crosswalks right there, let's go ahead, take some pedestrian walking paths, and connect them all the way down to this main drag right here. Now, we don't need that many. We also don't need these all to be stop lights. Stop signs should be more than fine. Same thing down here. No stoplights. Yes, stop signs. Leave one pedestrian crossing on each side. We'll get the pedestrian crossing out of that intersection and out of that one. And then out of that one. Another stop sign, stop sign, stop sign, stop sign. Gorgeous. Yeah, we looking good. We looking good in the neighborhood. All right. Then right there, there's no question. This is demanding commercial buildings to be placed right there. And I want them to be big. I want them to fill all the squares. So let's get rid of these two tiny tots. Rude. Okay. Well, then we'll go ahead and we'll dezone. Oh, and I guess we'll put in small commercial right there. It's gonna be insulting. We'll do that. Okay. Yeah. Think that's gonna be pretty awesome. I think that's pretty awesome. And I'm gonna slip in a I almost feel like this needs something else right next to it. Another another signature building. Nothing too major. Yeah, a little pub right next to local train station. So you go wait on your train, you're coming in, you just get back into town, or you just come into town, and the first thing you do is you stop at a pub to get a drink and get a bite to eat. Whatever. At a locally owned family restaurant before you pop down into what do we got? Something called Pink and Sparkly. I'm assuming that's clothing. Interior design would be furniture. Road garbage would be presumably a car shop. Big feet, clothing. I have no idea what that's going to be. And full of foods, grocery store. What is this going to be? Liz and Wiki, they sell textiles. So more clothing. Okay. You do you, gorgeous. You do you. We'll put a small low density office right there. Since that corner isn't developing for some stupid reason. Why is that corner not developing? Okay, fine. All right, anyways, if you enjoyed this stream, if you've enjoyed what I do and how I do it, please be sure to give me a like, a follow, subscribe. Hell, feel free to share my videos. Let people know that I am out here, and while I don't do too much, I hope what I do is entertaining. I hope what I do is calming. I hope what I do isn't as frustrating as sometimes it feels to me. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josh. Thank you again for tuning in to an episode of Dead Men Streaming. In addition to doing YouTube videos, I also have the honor and privilege to run a charity organization in the Parkersburg, West Virginia area that supports food pantries in and around town. We are always looking for new donors, sponsors, and more. So please be sure to check us out at Creative Cosplay over of the Mid Ohio Valley, Creative Cosplay of the Mid Ohio Valley over on Facebook. You can find our link there. And then for my day job, when I'm not spending time streaming games, I am writing books and doing resin craft and doing a bunch of other stuff. And you can also find me online. Just take a look. The link is in the comments. You can either find me on Amazon for your fantasy horror and urban fantasy needs, or you can find me over on Facebook under Joshua E.B. Smith, author. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today. I do hope you've had fun. Welcome to the city of Imini Bay. And our next goal is to ignore the train outside, and then the goal from there is going to be to develop this university town as we get to the coast and get ready to make a big investment over here with a number of different government buildings that are going to have a massive positive impact on our city. We're already now at the point where money pretty much doesn't matter, and I can't wait to grow from there. So, thank you all so much. I'll see you all again soon.